Hey everyone, welcome back. My name's Danielle and I'm your host for Epic Wine Adventures. Tonight we're not going to taste any wines, we're not going to try anything new, but we are going to talk about two different things. Corks versus screw caps, and this new best friend device that I have that I can use to pour wine without having to actually take the cork out of it. So, to start, we're going to talk about the corks versus screw caps. Corks everybody loves because when you go to a restaurant, you go to a winery, or even when you're at home, the sound of the pop when the cork comes out is just something that lets us know we're about to really enjoy something or we're going to experience something awesome. When you think about having your first glass of wine for the night or whatever when you're ready to relax, that pop actually gets us into that relaxing mood. What you normally typically don't hear when you think about relaxing mode is that crack of the seal on a screw cap, kind of like what you have on soda or beer. That's kind of more of I'm going to have a refreshing beverage. So that's why I think screw caps kind of get like a bad rap. But let's discuss the two. We're going to keep this real quick tonight, nothing more than 5 minutes. So corks have been around since the dawn of day, ever since winemaking started. They've been back since the 1400s. It's a nice natural resource. It was what they were able to use. They had cork trees, so they were able to make these really awesome corks that fit right inside of the wine bottles, which were great because it made wine fresh forever as long as they was kept in a temperature controlled, and obviously all the rules about keeping wine at a nice environment to sustain the freshness of it. One of the things that the natural corks do have though is they're breathable. So yes, wine needs to breathe, but most of the time you want your wine to breathe in a decanter, not always in the bottle itself. So what happens is the oxygen, because this is breathable, can freely go back and forth in the cork. And if you have a really old wine, and over time what will happen is it'll actually have the oxygen introduced into the bottle and it'll become oxidized. So as the oxygen comes in, again, it becomes oxidized, which can taint the wine and kind of make it more or less desirable to the palate. And that's what can turn the wine vinegar sometimes. So we have the breathability of the cork. Corks are actually expensive. They're 2 to 3 times more expensive than your synthetics or your screw caps. So that cost gets brought on to the consumer. So when you're buying a bottle of wine and it has a screw cap and it's a little bit more expensive, you could actually be paying for a portion of that cork. Corks also can contain a bacteria, and it's called cork taint, or what you know is your wine is corked. That's what everybody doesn't want to hear when they first open up their bottle of wine is, wow, that wine's really corked. And you could tell by the smell of the wine, it'll smell like old wet newspapers or moldy cardboard or something like that. And then if you go taste it, usually the taste is 10 times worse than the actual smell itself. So that's when your wine's corked. We'll get into that at another time. So let's talk about screw caps real quick. So these are the screw caps you'll get that you'll usually see. Now, most of the time you'll see them on white wines. The general idea or the stigma around screw caps is, well, they're on wines that are very low quality, probably something I need to drink in the next couple weeks or couple months because it's going to go bad really fast. It's just a really unflattering wine, which if you thought a wine was unflattering, I don't know why you would buy it anyway. But that's kind of like the stigma that these screw caps have. But let's talk about some of the facts. Screw caps are actually more affordable to make and to have than the regular natural corks. So the price you're going to pay for this bottle of wine would generally be less because the screw cap is a more affordable item for them to go ahead. And it's also new wineries that are just starting up that maybe don't have the budget that, let's say, a Kendall Jackson or any other big winery is going to have. So give it to the startup companies, man. They can't afford the corks. They got a screw cap. There's nothing wrong with that. Screw caps are going to eliminate those particles. When you open up your wine and then some cork falls in the bottom and now we have to filter it out. This eliminates that. And it also eliminates that cork taint that we were just talking about because there's no bacteria in here. The screw cap is also not breathable. So your wine's actually going to stay a lot longer because like anything else, when you screw it back on, it's airtight and nothing's going to come out of it. That's the screw caps versus the corks. The one thing that's not really cool is this isn't biodegradable, but it's metal, so it's probably going to be recyclable. And again, this is the stigma that it's a cheap, crappy wine. This is like, oh wow, it's got a cork, so it must be top of the line. Both have pros and cons, but to actually say the screw cap wine is poor quality, it's non-deserving of your purchase, and you shouldn't drink it is actually really unfounded, and it's just a myth. So what I want to get out there tonight is if you have been a little hesitant to go out and buy screw cap wines because you have that stigma, or that's what you think in the back of your head that, well, it's just going to be a crappy wine, so why would I buy it? Get that out of your head. Go ahead and try it out. There's nothing that's in the bottle that's indicative of how it's capped. In the bottle could be one of the best wines you've ever had, but again, you're never going to try it unless you try it. So that's the screw cap versus cork. I don't know if I've solved any issues or any world wine controversies tonight, but in case you were ever afraid to buy it, don't be. The next thing I'm going to talk about is this real handy new best friend that I have. And if you've watched, you know that I have bottles of wine open. And one of the biggest issues that I've been having is, how do I store this wine? I've actually had a couple bottles that didn't taste all that great afterwards, so I kind of had to throw them out. So lost a little bit of money on that, all for the good of the wine. But what I needed to do was find something that was going to actually help my bottom line and my liver, because usually when bottles of wine are open, you tend to feel like you need to drink them, and you shouldn't all the time. But so this is an argon fueled Corvin bottle opener, wine getter out, or whatever you want to call it. It opens your wine for you so that you don't actually have to take the cork out. So what I actually did is I already took the foil off of this bottle of wine. Here's the Corvin. This is a needle, and it's going to actually penetrate through my cork. I'll push the button and the argon gas will come up. Again, it's not oxygen because we don't want to introduce oxygen to our wine. So the argon gas will go in, and when I hit this trigger, the wine will come out of this spout. So let's check it out. Yes, I already have wine in this glass because this is my third take. The first two, I never realized I didn't have an SD card in my GoPro, so it's been one of those kind of days. You would squeeze the little handle here, open it up, put the needle right in, push it down to penetrate the cork. Put the glass, and there pours your wine. When you're done, you had enough wine, lift it back up, pull it out, squeeze the little lever again, and there it is. The needle retracts itself out as you pull it up. All you'd have to do is rinse this off, rinse the spout out, rinse it out, and you have your wine. So, but what I do want to tell you with this is, especially since we went through the decanting last week, you still need to decant your wine. This does not decant your wine for you. So let's say you just want to have a glass, pour it, go ahead and grab your shower, do whatever you have to do, give it about a good 30 minutes or so, and then go ahead and you can go and enjoy your wine. This isn't going to be if you have 4 or 5 people over and you're not going to use this device. It's, I'm having a glass, or I'm having a bunch of friends over and we're going to do our own wine tasting, and I have 5 or 6 different bottles of wine, but I don't want to commit to open them all up because now I'm going to have 5 or 6 bottles of open wine. You can definitely use this, give everybody a 1.5 ounce pour. And again, if you wanted to do more than what I have in here, hit the button again, and then it just continues to pour out until you push it up. And if you want more than what is coming out, this introduces the argon to the bottle, and it'll help push the wine out for you. So again, all you got to do is wash this off, rinse that out, and you're done with it. So I wanted to see how much this actually closed the cork, because that's what the whole thing behind this says, oh, it reseals the cork for you, it reseals the cork so that you don't have to take it out, keeps your wine fresher, keeps your wine better longer. So in order to test it out, no wine. So it actually does what it says. It takes the wine, penetrates with the needle just as much as you need, reseals the cork so that your wine's going to stay fresher longer. So all in all, I say the Corvan wine needle is an awesome buy for someone who's going to have consistently open bottles of wine. It is a little pricey. It was about $300, so I don't think that your average, I just want to have a glass of wine a night person's going to want to go out and buy this, but then again, I don't know. So that is what I have for you for tonight. I hope that it was very informative. Again, this week we're going to do the tour of Zinfandel. That should be Wednesday or Thursday night. So stay tuned, and I hope I can teach you something new. Happy wine adventures. Good night.